So today we are going to start portraiture. This whole month we will be doing portraits. And this module usually I put some time during the year for a bunch of reasons. One is that very often people are interested in portraiture, but it is a very intimidating topic. So I have had students who come and say, I want to do only portraiture, but I dissuade them from pursuing only one topic. Because what you need in something like portraiture is a combination of a lot of other skills. One is the ability to, of course, be able to draw certain lines predictably. And the second is to even see distances, spaces, contrast, texture, all of those things. And when you try to do it looking at a face and replicating a face on paper, it is like taking a 10th standard board exam while you're in the first standard. So we cannot, well, you can take the exam, but you may not get what you expect. So during the rest of the year, everything that we have done has been geared towards something as difficult as portraiture. The second thing is this. In the time that we have done the first portrait class, and then we've done the next portrait class over a year or so later, you get to test how many of these factors you have been able to improve upon. So how well can you draw physically? Is your line any stronger? Are you able to control the line as is required for any drawing, in fact, but specifically more for portraiture? And then how well are you seeing the data in front of you? How are you translating it into line and color and shade and so on? And then using your ability to draw a controlled line, how are you using that on paper? So it becomes like a litmus test. Am I there yet? And in that, you get to see, well, it's fun because some things you get and some things you don't get. But like if any of you have done yoga class or something for a while, in the beginning, you don't get anything. All postures are very difficult and you feel, why do I even bother? Then over the next few months, you will do different kinds of exercises. And then finally, a year later, you do the same posture and you say, I didn't get it last year. Why am I going to get it now? But you can surprise yourself. Exactly the same thing happens here for the same reason, obviously. You've exercised different muscles. So we are going to get into this very slowly. I don't want to throw you in the deep end by giving you a portrait of a person to replicate. But I have given you some reference images which we are going to use to create an abstract portrait out of this. Now, this is a very nice topic for you to make multiple paintings with human faces. All you need to do is look for a reference image which appeals to you, but something that has adequate embellishment so that the focus doesn't remain on the face. The face doesn't, ideally don't pick a face that you recognize. So don't pick movie actors, relatives, none of that, because you don't want to offend anyone. With picking pictures of people you don't know, even you don't have to worry about accuracy of features, because that is very tough in getting the portrait right. There are various methods that we have to work towards, and those we will do in the rest of the month. So I'll share the images on screen, and I can speak about that a little bit in detail. Okay, so here the very nice face, balanced, looks in front, not to the side. We don't want any of these three-quarter or side-facing views of the face. And she's got all around the face, there is an embellishment. There is what looks like one of those African fabrics that we did. Then she's got nice golden hair and lots of beads in her neck. She's got a nose ring and very well-made coal eyes. This one has got a lot of focus coming to the eyes. So here also it can be, but the rest of it is pretty minimal. Even this is a nice picture to make. This one, you don't see the face at all. So this is a very nice picture to make as an abstract picture, because you can actually do a lot with these textures. And I will elaborate on it a little later. Here, the picture is very rustic. It's got rope, rings, maybe tusks, and it's very, very earthy. Again, it sets a mood. This can make a wonderful travel illustration for, I presume this is Africa. Um, and the last one is again an African picture with a beautiful headgear and such lovely jewelry. I won't be surprised if this image has been generated by AI, by the way. Everything is just too pristine. But it's a great reference image for us because then you know that you're not infringing on any artist's copyright. That's the best bit. Okay, so today's topic, abstract portraits, is a great topic if you do not want to infringe copyright and you still want to make pictures that you want to put out. Now, I feel very strongly about the copyright idea. In India, it's so rude how we infringe on copyright rules. There's no telling, you make an artwork, you put it out there, and 10 other people are going to copy you, and it is considered okay. We have to just tolerate it, saying that they're flattering us. But if there's anyone who asks you to copy another artist's picture, you should demand that you change something so that it becomes yours. And if not, you should encourage them to buy that artist's work, even if you're an artist, because that will be paying it forward. That attitude will come back to you when you are putting your work out there, and other artists will hopefully not copy you. So we are going to start off with just drawing a few features. I'm going to show you how to draw individual features, which then we will put together into one portrait and then embellish everything around it. So I'm going to use these lines. I'm going to give you just basic structure of the eyes, nose, mouth. And then we will put that together in a form. Now I'm going to draw on the right-hand side because my paper there's a little bit of a fold here and I don't want my face to come here. But normally I recommend that you make the final picture on the right-hand side and all the testing, learning, notes and everything on the left-hand side. So that if the picture turns out good and you want to frame it as something, you can just fold it, cut it out and frame it. On the back, you can write what date or year you have made this artwork so that you can always come back to the part of the page which is in the book on which all the details are written, so you can replicate it. All right, now let me give you a basic understanding of how the face breaks down. So I just want you to see it first, and then you can start drawing it. So faces are normally some form of an oval. And this includes everything from the chin to the top of the head. So it's not the forehead, it's the top of the head. We draw a line through the center because we know that faces are supposed to be symmetric. And then you draw a line at halfway horizontally as well. This is how we start off any face. This is just a basic structure. Then we divide the top into two parts and the bottom into, let's say, let's start off with making it 4 parts. So half and then half of half. So you have the top hemisphere split in 2 parts and the bottom into 4 parts, of which only 3 are used. So halfway from this point to the bottom of the hemisphere and then halfway from there. And these are all the important points. So here we draw the eyes. Here we have the forehead or hairline. And this is the nose and this is the mouth. Okay, do you want to draw this now? Just hang on. I'll be right back. Huh? Give me a minute.
Sonal, you're from Pune itself?
Hi, Nita. I am from Bombay.
Okay. Acha, acha.
Yes. You're based in Pune?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So you have been doing artwork for a while?
On my own, like as a hobby, like
Acha.
yeah, when I was young. But now it's a challenge to find time. I like watercolors, so I with a whole setup and getting everything
Yeah.
prepped up. And now with kids around, it's become so difficult. So I thought by way of a class, I'll get some discipline into my
Yeah.
yeah. How about you? Do you do
So for
watercolors?
me also, I love art and
Yeah.
yeah, I'm trying this. Yeah, it's been a challenge and
Yeah.
I'm slowly getting there. I don't know, Aditi will tell.
But yeah, this class is great because like this is exactly the kind of stuff that I wanted to learn, and
Yeah.
things that I myself will never dare to pick up.
Yeah. No, and she makes it so easy, in the sense doable. So it kind of breaks it into steps and, so it's not so daunting.
Exactly. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm back. I heard all that.
Nice.
Okay. All right. Sorry, I had to quickly just go and give something at the door. It took a little longer than expected. All right. So, normally when a beginner starts making a portrait, we focus so much on the face that they don't realize that there is a large section of the head which is visible. So you'll often see that after the eyes are made, the head comes somewhere over here, and you wonder what is going wrong. So there's something about how we see faces that is good to at least know. Um, so usually it's like an indication that the brain is an organ that has so much work to do that where it does not need to do any work, it will not do it. So it's not lazy, but it's very, very efficient. Any extra work that it needs to do means it needs more energy. So it tries to avoid that. That's how nature has built us. So with that in mind, you will probably realize that we recognize faces only by this much. Hardly anyone, unless they have spectacular hair and no features, where you will ignore the features and only look out for the hair, right? So this is where the brain focuses. So when you start drawing a face, this is all the brain sees and draws. But if your eye were to be asked, like if you look at my face on screen right now, there is so much head on top, which we don't even see. So we'll draw the hair over here, and then we'll draw a thin band of hair on top, thinking that ab to ho gaya kaam. But that's not how it is. So that's why this proportioning helps you to at least start at a point which is fair to the face, and you suspend that need of the brain to push you into drawing what it thinks is right. So this is that's why you starting point like this works. Later on, you can make all sorts of adjustments. You could bring this lower or take it higher depending upon your specific face. Now on this, we are going to draw eyes, but I want to break it down first for you to show you how the eyes are shaped. So we start off with just a curved line on top, like an almond-shaped line on top, and a slightly less curved line at the bottom. Do not join the two lines. Now, one side, we will draw a teardrop duct. So it'll be like a little teardrop shape on one side. And on the other side, again, there is nothing to join it, but there will be like a little membrane that comes on the inside. This is how the structure of the eye is. Now, this is a very realistic structure. We will do more of this at a later stage, but I want you to see this and know it, which we are going to convert into an abstract, so at least you know what it is meant to represent. Above this, there is a fold. So see, this is the inner eye. It's a very, very thin membrane on the inside. If we make it too big, it will look very unnatural. So we make this part thin, but this is fat because this is the entire fold of skin which folds over when we open the eye. And then we have an eyebrow, which is structured like this. It's always in almost a concentric circle around the eye. Now, this is a fun thing to know, that your eye socket is somewhere over here. And sitting right in the middle of your eye socket is the eyeball. And in the middle of that is your pupil. The eyeball apparently is the only organ that does not grow beyond what it grows during at the time of birth. This organ remains exactly the same. What grows around is the face, the bones, the skin, all of that grows. That's why you will see that for a child's eyes or eyeballs look really, really big in their eye. And a grown-up person, or as we age, our own eyes start looking smaller. That is one indication of the eye of a person. Now, inside this, right in the center, is a lens. I like to think of this as our own personal black hole, because this is where the light will enter and not escape. So the positioning of the eyebrow is exactly on the hole made by this pit. And there's a good reason for that also. I get everyone to guess what the reason for eyebrows is. And I'll tell you later if you remember to ask me by the end of the class. Okay, so now this is the eye, but if we color it like this, it looks very dead. So to make the eye look alive, on any one side, you can just make an oval shape for a highlight. And then you shade the eye from top to bottom in a dark to light transition like this. Now on this, we can draw eyelashes. So first we darken the upper lid a little bit. And when you're drawing lashes, remember we may see lashes as really long, but they are foreshortened. So they come towards us pretty much like this. You know that my fingers are long, but you don't see the whole length of the fingers. But most people land up drawing the lashes this long, right from here to here. The entire length which is coming forward is translated up here. That looks very unnatural. So all that we see of the eye is just a few strands in a radial manner. So in the center, the line goes straight up. Towards the right, the line starts slanting. Excuse me, but also they are slightly rounded. And towards the inner eye, the lashes are very small. Now this shape can change. Sometimes the eye can be a little wide and narrow. This curve can change. This curve can change depending upon the ethnicity, depending upon the bone structure. So once you know that these are the number of lines that we have to make, you can always change them a little bit just for your practice also. So suppose I make a slightly shallower eye like this. The bottom also remains the same. Do the same thing, draw the tear duct, then draw the inner membrane. We are going to get rid of this a little later. This time the eyeball is going to touch the bottom lid, or at least the membrane. Same shading. A little bit of the membrane comes from the inside here. And this time you can make the eyebrows thinner and even more arched. And this becomes a completely different eye. Though the lines are the same, we have changed angles, lengths, placement, proportion. Now, to make these look more three-dimensional, we can do things like add a slight shadow underneath the lid. Even here, we can have a little bit of shadow. Now, noses are a problem area for many people. This is how we see the nose. But if you draw the nose like this, especially in an abstract portrait, there's so many lines that are so sharp that it draws undue attention. So as far as we are concerned, though this model has a nose ring, reduce very curvy lines. Just make the tip of the nose like this and just the sides like this, and then we are going to put the nose ring in this part, like so. So we have removed this hook-like shape. Going further, some people also color it really dark, and that looks horrible. So there is a way in which you show this darkness inside the nostrils, but really for an abstract portrait, you don't need to focus on those shadows. This is nice. It hints at a nose, and that's good enough. My faces are going to look very odd. Even yours will be. If you're making these features like that, they'll start looking like a cyclops soon. Now for the mouth, here are a couple of mouths that I really like to make. Start with the center line. So you can make a delicate mouth like this. Start with a line that is curving downward and make two very small vertical lines on the side. Right in the center, you will make a curve and turn the line outward on both sides. So you get a nice full lip on top. And for the bottom, like exactly below where you made this curve in the center on top, you will make a horizontal line, which is, it's not like a flat line. It's still a curve, but it's not as curved as normal curves might be. And the same line then extends to the corners of the mouth. Now, whatever shape mouth you've made, you will be able to tell whether it's a full mouth or whether the mouth is slim. And you can change that and make the exact opposite. I think this is a full mouth that I've made. So the next one I'm going to do is just manipulate these strokes and make the upper lip slightly slim, and the lower lip slightly slim. That's it. So what I've shown you are the various lines that you can manipulate and actually do anything you want to. I would recommend, like in the kids class, I recommend play around with these shapes. Think about what if you make a triangular lid or a square eye or something like that. Play with it because that will give you, it's more fun also. Everything looks really weird, but it also looks very Picasso-esque when you make those geometric shapes. All right, now we're going to translate all of this onto a face this size. So here are the proportions or placement of these objects. In something like this, much of this that I'm going to tell you is just visually dividing the space to make our illustration believable, let's say. Okay, so I'm going to position my eyes somewhere in the middle of the vertical half. All right. And the space between the eyes is usually the same size of the eyes. So this dot just gives me a starting point. But this is normally how our eyes are divided. So I will make some adjustments so that the space between the eyes, the two inner corners of the eyes, is about the same as the space I give for the eyes themselves. From the inner eye, I can drop a line down to give me the nose and also a sense of where the mouth might be. But we all know if we make a mouth the same size as the nose, it looks very robotic. So we can take the mouth outside a little bit. Now, as the proportions look right now, the chin is so close to the mouth that it's really not going to look good. So we can extend it again visually, whatever amount we want, or we can reduce the nose and keep the mouth wherever it is, or we take the mouth higher. So this is where the mouth comes high. This is where the chin goes low. So all these are options that you can visually decide you want to make. All the proportions are more or less in the face itself. Taking the nose as the unit, you can see how far the eyes are, how many noses up is the forehead. Or you can take the eye as a standard and say, okay, how long do I make this shape and so on. Ideally, for horizontal shapes, take a horizontal feature like eyes or lips. For a vertical face, take a vertical feature to use as a unit of measure. Now that we have made this basic form, in this now we will draw the eyes. Just draw the top lid, and the bottom lid should be a little shallow. Then draw the fold on the eye. We are not drawing the corner of the eye. We are not drawing the membrane of the inner eye because we don't have enough space. Draw the pupil in such a way that they both look to the same point in the front. So just draw it in the center of your shapes right now. And about the same distance as the eye, just vertically, draw a horizontal line at which point we will be making the eyebrows in some shape or another. Now I like this proportion of the nose. Maybe I can bring it a little lower. So in the center, I'm going to make that U shape like this and turn the lines a little to the side, very little. And then from the side, I'm going to draw these C shapes very gently, not like a big C shape like this, just a gentle curve. And then here we will draw the lips. And now you'll be able to draw this very easily because we have drawn the shapes on the right. It no longer remains difficult. Now for the eyebrows, there's all sorts of shapes. But one shape that you should never draw is an eyebrow that goes exactly round like that around the eye. Nobody's eyebrows after, I think, the 20s have ever gone like this. So we can, if we make these eyebrows straight and down, they look very innocent, very sweet. If you want to make like a fashionista, then tilt this line a little inside, lower on the inside, and then go outward, curving outside. And we were taught this in when we did a module in makeup, that if you were to draw a line from the center tip of your nose through the eyeball when it is looking straight in the mirror and ran a line straight across, the point at the eyebrow where this line goes through is where your arch should be. And now we can paint or color the eye like we have just like before, and we should be done. Now for the first face we are making, this will be the face with the hair and the headscarf and jewelry. Though she's looking sideways at us, we are not going to make it that way. At her forehead, we will draw a drape going up, but that drape also covers her hair. So there's going to be a certain thickness around the head that we have to account for. So make the lines come a little beyond this, the shape of the face. Her ears are not visible, but we can draw the hair. Just a couple of wavy lines. And then we can just draw a bunch of these folds. And then there's one piece of fabric coming down like this, and another coming down like this. We can give her some cheekbones like these over here. The cheekbones often point towards the corner of the mouth. And a nice jawline. And then somewhere from the, this is a weird proportion trick. I'm going to tell you to make her neck as if a line has been dropped from the outer edge of the eye and then it comes downward. Sometimes this works, sometimes this neck looks too fat, then you can take it inward a little bit. As much as I can give you proportions, much of this is just a visual study. And now in her neck, we can put a whole lot of beads. But remember, these beads or the lines of the necklace will go around her neck a little bit. So they stand out on the shoulder. They don't go just to the shoulder. This is the face we have to make in color. Okay. Shall we now make a larger face over here? It's the same thing. If you've drawn everything here a certain way and you like it, then we translate the same thing in a larger size. You know the proportions, you know the placements, you should be able to do it. Okay? All right. So because we want to draw all that fancy jewelry in her neck, I'm going to ask you to start the head a little higher up on the page. So whenever you're beginning, just visualize how it's going to look, how much space you need around her face for the scarf, and how much around the neck at the bottom for the jewelry. Now we are not going to make it, we can make this look even more graphic. So start with that oval shape. Divide the oval in half, vertically and horizontally. Now, when you're drawing these lines, draw very light. You don't want to have to erase these lines till the very end. Hold your pencil really far away. When you're making vertical lines, hold the pencil horizontal and vice versa. And when you're making circles, make the circle one way first and then another way if that's easier for you. Draw the forehead line on top, the nose and the mouth line at the bottom. Already you will see if your nose and mouth and eyes fall in a good line. My oval has become too wide, so I am going to cut it a little bit from the sides. So there's a method called the Loomis method in which they start off with a circle and then they cut parts of the circle or sphere in half. Not half actually, just a slice of the sides. But I'm doing it very arbitrarily because I feel this has become so wide, her face is going to look horrible. I'm going to draw over here at the center, the eyes, and then divide space for my nose. The distance between the end or the corner of the eye and the end of the face is usually less than the space in between over here. So you might think that this space up to half line from the corner of the eye to the center line and from the outer corner of the eye to the outside line is about the same. You hardly see any of this side. All right, now look at the face that we are making. Notice the eyes of this model and try to make the eyes like this, but in a graphic form. That's what I'm going to try. So the eyes are not horizontal. They're at a slight angle. And that could be because she is looking upward also. But we can also have our eyes pointing or making the shape of the top of the eye in such a manner that the corners of the eye, instead of ending on the same level, the inner corner comes a little lower and the outer corner ends a little high. So this looks like very cat-like eyes. Make simple almond shapes here. When I'm drawing the... We are going to make this whole thing in pen again. So draw your lines very light. Then we have the eyebrow. If you're not sure about the arch on the eyebrow, you can wait. Both eyebrows have to start more or less at the same place, but the shapes should be different. If they're the same shape, the face looks very artificial. Like on the backs of trucks, long distance trucks, you'll see they put the same eye flipped over on the left also and the right also. Everything is absolutely identical and that face makes no sense. Now for the nose. Small compound curve both ways. Then the nostril on the side. And we can turn this, her mouth into a smile by just making the center line a little curved along the edges. Make those tiny vertical lines to accommodate the thickness of the cheeks.
Aditi,
Yeah.
like if when we are doing noses, sometimes some people have like really aquiline kind of, sharp nose. And so, is there some trick to kind of see that it comes like a sharp nose?
There is, of course. So in noses, if you have a sharp nose, all these proportions become narrower. So you would have just a very narrow center curve, and then this would come very close. The nostrils are very close.
Okay.
And if you have a nose that comes from more of the tropics, the central part is wider, the nostrils are wider,
Okay.
and this is how everything is spread out. So the elements are the same. It's
Yeah.
just how you squeeze them or crunch them that will change the ethnicity, or they will change the shape of the nose. But any more than this, if you try to sculpt it or something, there are ways, but you should have the proper light to make it look that sharp.
Okay.
Okay, now I think this chin is too close, but I'm going to now make a chin slightly lower. From the side, draw the cheekbones coming towards the corner of a mouth. And from there, trace a jawline. So all of this is like sculpting. You get a whole block of something and then you keep chiseling away and getting the right shape for your purpose. If we make this too high, then you can always make an adjustment and pull the cheekbone slightly lower, or you don't even have to give cheekbones. I tend to give all my women cheekbones because I have no cheekbones. So, so you often,
Yeah, few questions like when we divide the second half of the face into half and half, and then the lowermost half into further, yeah. So that line, is that the lip ending or the middle, the division of the lip? Or
it's the division.
it's the division.
Yeah.
Okay, so the division sits on the half. Okay.
No, no, no. So, like I mentioned over here, that's a starting point. But as you build in the features, all these features will be adjusted. Say, for example, if our starting point is an oval that turns out to be really long.
Yeah.
Okay, I've not given you a proportion of length versus width of the oval. In this case, you will have really long features, and this might not look like a proportionate face. So you might have to make some adjustments. So if you make your eyes over here, if you make your nose here and the mouth here, the chin becomes very tiny, and it just looks like somebody has assaulted the person's chin.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter whether it's the bottom, the middle, or the top. It just gives you some spot as a starting point. And then you can decide which place you want to be in. Now, here's one disclaimer. Unless you make at least 100 faces, which are all going to look really weird. Some will have very long chins, some will have very small foreheads, and all sorts of combinations. On the fly, you might not be able to gauge where exactly your mouth or nose or eyes should come. Maybe eyes are the starting point, so it would be easy. But let's see you put the pupils in. Very often, one eye is looking straight, the other eye is looking somewhere else. Though you have technically made it exactly in the center of the eye, there's something about the shape, the space on either side of the pupil that often makes your eyes look like they're looking squint. So it's a matter of observation and correction, observation and correction. But the correction, I'm going to beg you, do not make the correction in the same face, except if it's minor things. So right now, follow your instincts. Don't judge your instincts. Your brain is telling you something because that is how it's processing the information. The face might look weird, it is fine, but unless it looks a certain way, we don't know whether it's weird or whether it is not.
Yeah.
Okay. 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 Is everyone, both of you with me on this? Can we move beyond this? Okay. So now I have her head here, and I'm going to, because our model's face is tilted forward, we see more of the head. So I'm giving it a shape up there. But let me show you why it goes that high. If I were to draw the same ovals over here, let's see. This is such a long oval. Obviously, her head is not all the way there, right? Her head stops somewhere over here. And everything beyond that is fabric. We have to accommodate for that. Now, how much higher has the fabric gone? Maybe it's gone from here to maybe here, here. This is the line that I'm making, and it goes all around her face. Even here behind the drape, it does go almost like a halo shape around her face. And if we were to draw a line over here and a line towards the outside, look at how far the fabric has gone beyond the face. Unless we make this structure, we don't even see it. We'll just make a face, the garment or the fabric just touching the edges of a face, because that's all we notice.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll share this image as well so that you know the context. All right. So I have visualized that this is her forehead, and just above the eyebrow, a line goes up. The fabric twists up. Then the other fabric comes down. And from here, it's almost half of the visible face that we have to draw the line upward and coming down to maybe here. And a lot of the fabric is just twisted in. So we don't want to make very precise parallel lines here. You want to make the lines a little more organic. From the edge of her face on both sides is a little bit of hair. And in order to draw that thick hair, we are going to draw two lines which are like serpentine lines next to each other. And just to keep it aesthetically pleasing, turn both lines inward from either side. Don't turn all of them in the outward direction or the right side or left side direction. From the corner of her eyes, I'm extending a line down and giving her a very long neck. But the neck won't be straight, it would be it would come in a little bit like this. And then I'm going to fill her neck with lots of jewelry. So I'm just drawing a whole lot of, I don't want to spend so much time in drawing jewelry. I am drawing just parallel lines on her neck. Remember, this is an abstract illustration. So we are going to do a lot of our own addition here and there. Now, everything else is just a bundle of lines, some fat, some slim. And when they come to the sides, they become even slimmer because they get tucked in over here. And I'm going to make one large section on top with not one small flat one. In some places, I'm going to extend the line outward like that. And here is the last tray. And on this side also, there is a little bit of fabric. Now, in order to balance this, we can have, she has some dupatta-like thing here. So you can have a dupatta coming up. When you make abstract illustrations, look for some kind of finality to the lines. If you have some imbalances, if you just show the dupatta like that, just on her shoulder, in my opinion, it looks a little shoddy. It needs to have some end. All right, now let's ink this. Now, since this is a graphic image, all our lines are going to be rather sharp. I'm using my waterproof ink pen, but you can use a micron pen so that we can fill color afterwards. I'm leaving a gap between the upper and lower lid because I just like it that way. So she's worn kajal, okay, forget it. We just join it. And the inside, you can pinch it a little bit so that it looks much more dramatic. So you just have those two lines come in and pinch them.
So a 0.1 is better or a 0.3?
0.1 for this, for the
Okay.
facial features, and 0.3 for the fabric and maybe the jewelry.
Okay.
Now, I've not seen how the fold of the eye is, but make it like a gentle line. Don't make it too far and too prominent. Even that shape is different on both eyes, so don't stress about making them identical. I like the eyebrows a little distance apart, so I'm going to keep them like this. When we make the nose, at that point itself, I will make the nose ring like this. And a very gentle line for the nostril. In some cases, you may want to omit making the center parting line between the lips in a black color. You might just be okay making the outline. Now I want to hide the edge of her face. I don't want to show it too prominently. So I'll first make the hair. And then I can also make the headgear. For women's faces, sometimes if you expose the entire side of the face, then the faces can tend to look rather severe. So as far as possible, have them wear some scarf or have their hair come out on the sides of their faces so that they look softer. Unless, of course, you want to make the portrait of like a Mrs. Trenchcoat or something, then please make that face edge to edge. Now at the neck, when you make the jewelry, because it's such an important feature, give it some time. Look at the jewelry that she is wearing and make an attempt to replicate some part of it. And have the ends of the jewelry stick out from where you can imagine the neck line. The lines that you've drawn in pencil can be a guide for all your beads. There are very few things in this picture that can be eye-catching because you're making it very graphic. Of those, the jewelry can be a very big player. So everything in between can be made either concentric, or in some places you can do this. It looks really nice. Make a few overlap. And change their direction. You can draw this in pencil first if you want to, and then make them in pen. So on. Then we have the fabric. She's also wearing some very interesting earrings. So here's the tricky bit. We've not drawn the ears at all, but the ear will end somewhere near in this position where the nostrils are. So you can draw two circles in the same line as the nose. And she's got some really elaborate triangular jewelry, which we can translate like this maybe. And that should be it. We'll have a bunch of hair in the back to complete the space. Now the last bit we have to do are the eyes. And like I said, this can be rather tricky. So get rid of all the lines around the face. Some of the lines that I've made now, because it's liquid ink, they are going to be wet. So I am not going to erase everything. I'm going to erase the vertical, horizontal guidelines, some of the lines that go through the eye. And now using the pencil, first draw the eyes in such a way that the circle touches the top lid. And you draw two exactly identical shapes in both eyes. My eyes are not too big, they're not touching the bottom. Then draw the center lens. Unless you draw the lens, you can't tell whether they're looking straight. Then you will draw the highlight on the same side in both eyes, not in opposite directions, because that will definitely make the eye look like it's squint. So if you're drawing the oval of the highlight on the top left, make it on the top left in both eyes. And once you're satisfied, then we can ink it. This circle has to be a proper circle. No compromises there, unfortunately. No other shape will do. So the circle should look like a complete circle, of which a part of it is obscured by the upper lid. Sometimes even the lower lid. But it should not give the impression that that shape is anything but a circle. There. I think my little one is looking a little squint. So I'm going to thicken the upper lid a little bit. Yeah. Okay, how's it going? So I'm going to suggest let's finish up the ink work on the face today. It's already 20 past 12. So we can take this up again next week for the coloring. And during the week, if you want to practice, use this, the formula that I've given you to practice different kinds of faces. Just, you can use the reference images that I've sent you, try to translate those.
Aditi, I've not started inking because I'm still trying to get the face look like a face with pencil.
Can
So
I see it? Do you
yeah,
have any questions about why it's not coming?
yeah, sure. I'll show you.
Yeah.
Do you see my screen?
Yes. Yeah.
Can you see?
Yes, I can. Yeah, so I'll tell you what you can adjust. Adjust this. Actually, it's looking nice. The space in the inner corners of the eye is a little more. That's why the eyes are looking like they're looking in two different directions.
Okay.
So bring them a little closer, just a little closer.
Meaning the gap between the eyes.
Between the pupils. So the
Okay.
pupils need to come inward just a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, that should work.
And the adjustment, the transition from an oval that you start with, and then chiseling it to give it proper cheekbones and jawline. I think that's also an area I struggle with. And then it starts to look, there's a lot of erasing that happens. And see, if you look at this, I have done a lot of rework here and looks like she's
Yeah.
grown a beard. Yeah.
Well, that will happen. Don't worry about that. That's okay. That's perfectly normal. in somewhere in there, there is a nice cheekbone, I would say.
Yeah.
I have, so you know what, actually, I'll tell you why you're probably struggling. Sorry. I have to change my video. Sorry. Yeah. So the struggle is not because you don't know where the line is. The struggle in that case is most likely because your hand is not moving in that direction. The two lines that we may need to make over here are not our strongest line at all. So one we have to make like this, that somehow we can make, which is this side. Say if you're looking at my face, you will be able to make this. The other side to match it is nearly impossible because it's the most unnatural curve for our hand. So it's a question of ability. In that case, break it up. So first make just the chin part and then just attach the chin to the sides. Don't bother making the whole face at all. And definitely never from one side to the other side. So make the chin, like we made the bottom lip, make the chin slightly rounded, extend that a little bit, make two lines going slightly higher if you need it, or then from the top, from here, just extend a line down and it should work. Break up everything. So in this case now, I'll just give you one quick exercise. This is a fun exercise where you should not ideally be erasing. We just need to practice proportions. So try making different starting shapes. So we have an oval. This is where we start off. Then you have eyes. Make really big eyes. I have told you make the bottom line very shallow. Don't make it shallow. So her eyes have gone almost to her forehead. Then we can make a very tiny nose and we can make very tiny mouths. The same way that I have shown you. And here you could probably just make some kind of hair. And just make any kind of jawline to see how it looks. This one is looking a little bit like Betty Boop.
This is so cute. I think you'll have to try really hard to, spoil a face or to like ruin one.
Yeah, just do it and it won't be spoiled. So now to this, you can add everything that I've told you not to do and just see what happens. You might come up with very interesting things. Now let's try another face. Suppose we make the face square. So it's not exactly a square face, but everything is a little square-ish. How about if we do the same proportions? And this time, let's make the eyes really small. And make the nose really big. Same shapes, just adjusting them a little bit. This is the forehead. The ears, by the way, are over here on the side. And the mouth, maybe let's make the same mouth. But just because of the shape of the face, this will either look like a man or a transgender person. Just because the face is so strong. And then we do the same thing. And imagine if we give a lovely mop of curly hair to this.
Yeah.
Right? So have fun with this. Don't go for the staid and boring stuff. For that matter, I would say go to another extent and also say, what if I don't put the eyes in the eye line in the center? What if I keep the eye line here and the nose here and mouth here and the forehead somewhere over here? Change the proportions and then see what happens. you will discover something that you would never otherwise. This almost looks like the face is upside down.
It's like a distorted mirror showing you a face.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah. Or one of those, you get those figurines, right? Those long faces.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
it looks like that. It's looking good actually.
It
Not
does
looking
look,
weird.
I
Yeah.
mean, it looks very particularly
Yeah.
of something. It reminds you of something. I'm going to,
Some tribal face or something.
correct, yeah.
Like you can't go wrong, Aditi. I think with the amount of practice that you have in your hand, no matter how much you try to screw it, you'll end up with a beautiful face. But yeah, with me, I'll tell you one strange thing. So I have never been able to crack the code and be able to make faces that actually look like the person I was trying to draw. But somehow I always end up with this face, like and there's no, maybe it's just the application of those proportions. The
Hmm.
one that I'm showing you here, this
Mm-hmm.
is what I always end up with. So with that half and half, and then maybe the oval that I draw,
Right.
even able to vary my mistakes. Like it's not even, it's become consistent.
It's very likely that you're making your own face.
But this does look like my own face also. It's
It
like
does.
it's not that round. If I
No.
could draw a roundish one, it will be like maybe
No, this is how you see yourself. This
Okay.
is known to happen when people are trying to draw portraits because we see our face so frequently that
Mhm.
there are certain things about us that just stick in the brain and we often make our own faces. There is a lot of similarity. I can show it to you. But don't worry, this is step one. Now, all you need to do is once you identify what you are doing, you need to just vary it in all those four factors. Change the shape, the size, placement, proportion, and you will make a different face. In faces, in fact, even the tiniest line from here to there, just a little shift of shape can change the face completely. So our eyes and our face is so our eyes and our brain is so tuned. This is the one thing that it knows how to do very well because our very survival depends on this. So there will never be simple things like when you walk into a room, the first thing you do is, even if there are 1,000 people, you will spend enough time scanning the entire room, trying to recognize, even if you don't want to. It's just an instinct that we have for millions of years. You look around and you say, okay, who do I know here? Who do I not know? Who do I go and say hi to, and who do I have to run away from? It's how us as a clan has evolved, apparently. So the question remains, why do we have eyebrows? I will let you think about this for the week, and then by next week, just ink this, and then we will start the coloring. Okay? All right.
Thank
I mean, it is still very caricaturish, but still.
Yeah, that's good. We are making it into a graphic anyway. It's not realistic. Wonderful. I think this is going to turn beautiful. Nice.
It's come out well. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sonal, if you just ink your drawing, don't overthink it. It will
Yeah.
be fine. Just ink it. Forget about it.
Okay. Yeah, I'll do that.
All right. Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was an
See you
interesting
next week.
class.
Yeah, very nice class.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thanks, Aditi.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye, Rita.
Bye bye, Sonal. Bye.